level 5 Dazzle 10 minutes in the game. So
do you max out the poison touch?
Yeah, no. No, they take heal.
Basically what happens is it's like, if you go mid, you max Shadow Wave, because that's basically how you get your rune control. You just shove the waves out all the time, and you can just go get every single rune.
Shove the wave? Is that a League of Legends term?
Shove it.
I think that's a League of Legends term.
Bend the knees and push the wave.
Okay.
Whatever, man.
I watch League. There's no shame.
All right, fine. Yeah. Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, you push, and then you get rune control that way. That's pretty much how he functions. But in a support role, his spells are actually all very strong at level 1. He's probably one of the best heroes, I think, in terms of support, just because all of his spells are ridiculously good at the first point. So, I don't know. I think he can function very well in either role. The thing that is, when he was mid, is that he doesn't have any good transition. You know, he doesn't gank well. He's a very good counter ganker, but he's not good at starting a fight or anything like that. So, and a lot of the time, people want heroes who can have some kind of initiation and win their lane, which is why you see heroes like Invoker. Yeah,
I actually asked EGM, does anyone in your team play Invoker? Like, kind of. He was like, yeah, everybody does, except for Bulldog, I think. So basically,
of course,
except for Bulldog.
I think they can do anything they want here. Like anyone can play him. Support Invoker.
I have never seen Loaded play Invoker.
Well, apparently,
you know what? We seen support Meeple yesterday. I really would give money, like good money, to see support Invoker, like done on a high level, because I don't think that's possible. But you know,
I see offlane Invoker when I play pubs quite a lot.
That's different though. Yeah. Support Invoker with no go, no experience. That's a kind of different beast. But Puck versus Invoker mid, what's that matchup going to be like for you guys who are Invoker players?
Well, basically, I think it's really hard if you're Exhort, because you can just dodge everything and get away. But if you're Quas Wex, I think if you can time the Tornado and the EMP correctly, I think you can destroy him. But that's just me. But it's hard. I really hate laying against Puck, because he just dodges everything. And you just don't know what to do. I panic, like.
You're not supposed. Okay, first rule, don't panic. The
second rule, use your outside voice.
Yeah, if you go Quas Wex, you're going to run into a problem where your base damage is extremely low versus a Puck who actually starts with one of the higher base damages of any mid hero. And like Shane said, he can pretty much destroy all of your auto attack, harass damage. Cold snapping him is pretty much useless unless you bait him into phase shifting with just your autos, which is very hard to do because, again, he hits harder than you do. So you're going to have a really hard time effectively trading. If you can manage to get a couple of levels up, then it starts to even out a tiny bit. But I think Puck, just in general, if you go Quas Wex, is going to beat you most of the time. If you go Exort, you can just outlast hit him and then just try to outfarm and just wait until the mid game to have your impact that way.
Yeah, I think once you get to level 3 with Exhort and you just pop out that Forge Spirit, then suddenly Puck really starts falling behind. So we'll see if that's what S4, I imagine, is going to be doing on the mid lane. Chen is going to be seeing a little bit of a return, as we haven't seen Ake play that hero, or at least I haven't too much lately. Meanwhile, on the other side, a little bit more old school standard Visage coming out from MYM. Haven't seen that hero too much. Kind of
it's a really safe support pick, though, and his damage output and flexibility are pretty damn high.
You can go offensive tri-lane as well, so he's kind of leaving it open, isn't he? Like,
yeah, lane ambiguity is very important. That's why both teams pretty much just picked a mid and a support. Sure, the Chen is likely going to be defensively jungling, but we don't know what's going to be behind that. There are still a lot of choices left open to them. And MYM go with a really, like Lumi said, old school kind of standard where you have a good initiator and you have good follow-up damage and the Visage. And even bird stuns are quite easy to land on top of things like Coil. So there's a lot of room for fighting from both teams now.
Yeah, so we were wondering coming into this game, is MYM going to surprise the line? So far, it's playing them like standard. So, Drasco, that's kind of like what you're going with. Play them standard, and hopefully you beat them. I don't know. I doubt this kind of strategy.
It just feels like, I know what you're saying. You're saying if you play standard against a team who is on paper better than you anyway,
plays a better standard game than
you should lose that game anyway. But I feel like every time a team takes a really silly risk, then they just end up getting crushed fantastically in like 15 minutes.
Fair.
Lone Druid.
I actually hope now the Invoker goes Exhort, because putting Alacrity on a bear is absolutely redonkulous when you're hitting tower. So I always love seeing that.
Especially you can get Desolator on bear as well. Have you seen it?
Yeah, well, I imagine he's going to be going for, I guess, Midas into Radiance first, and then maybe going into that later.
It is actually really important, though, that you can go Deso now, because that makes his pushing like even more ridiculous than it already was. Yeah, the quoting here is that even if you're dealing with the Lone Druid, the bear itself would have a chance to actually cancel the Bane Fiend script, and you could, if you're microing good enough, you could block things like arrows that are coming in. So I actually think this is a great pickup here for Lions. Obviously, it's Amber Bulldog Bear, so it's OP. If I'm Rubik in this case, I'm like chuffed with their other spells so far. Like getting the arrow, getting the Puck Orb, the Bane ulti. The Bane ulti is like the easiest spell in the game to steal. Like it's amazing spells to steal, I think. Yeah, but we should also keep in mind that Alliance are sticking to their we're going to play as greedy as possible kind of a lineup, because the only hero on their team that isn't that greedy is Invoker, and Invoker still needs levels, right?
Yes.
So you got a Chen, Rubik, and a Lone Druid, 3 super greedy heroes against a lineup of MYM, which is almost all fighting potential. Like, that's what their team is built around. So they want to play aggressive, and Alliance are playing pretty much what they're best at. So.
Yeah. And Loda's heroes generally ends up to be greedy. I think his least greedy hero is generally Marana, which is already selected here by MYM. So I'm curious what Loda's going to be playing.
PA or something, maybe?
Tusk. I miss his Tusk. I want to see it. I'm not sure if it's going to be good in this lineup.
Did they play with Tree and Io?
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of different. So never mind. We'll see what he's going to bring out.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering the same thing. And honestly, MYM, unless they're going to be going aggressive and picking maybe a 1v1 hero and sending the Marana Bane Visage top, we could be seeing potentially another core from them too.
That's what I'm expecting, I think. I think this is a good offensive trialing. Not like the Abaddon CM thing that we saw earlier where there was really no kill potential. This one, you Bane, Nightmare, you Arrow, and then you Visage for cleanup. The cool thing is here for Rubik, it's very important for him to kind of de-toggle that sleep whenever possible, especially if they're going to go on Loda. I think Weaver would be a great pickup here just to survive that lane, but that also falls into the problem of...
Weaver loses 1v1 to Lone Druid, though, because they'll pull him sentries.
No. Weaver for Alliance.
Oh, for Alliance, yeah. Okay.
But the problem is it's also a very greedy pickup. It doesn't scale until much, much later.
Yeah, I think that would be actually almost too greedy even for Alliance, because... Wow, okay.
So they do the Weaver.
They picked it.
So you were saying it's a counter... Lone Druid counters Weaver because of the pull.
Yeah, if you get pulled sentries, I think Lone Druid beats Weaver. It's still it's close, right? But the thing is Weaver in that matchup, you almost have to spam Shikuchi because any good Lone Druid's constantly going to have the bear on you. And since Weaver's attack range isn't really that high, he has to get really close to the creep wave to hit the creeps. So you're going to be taking a lot of damage, which is why I just don't particularly care for it that much. But yeah, it's going to be Loda Pugna, and he's actually played this hero quite a few times in the past. So
What's the plan here? Do they just get the Chen level like 3 or 4 and then push down the towers top?
Well, they'll always have the potential to push at any stage in the game because they have a Lone Druid, and Nether Blast destroys buildings pretty darn fast. So I don't think they're really pressured to do anything early.
It's going to relax and farm.
Yeah, I think this is just very typical Alliance. They can defend towers very well with their lineup, and as soon as they get any kind of advantage in the game, they can very easily turn that into towers for themselves.
I'm just worried about their laning stage. It seems like the offensive trialing, well, they're 5-man scouting into top jungle, but if there is an offensive trialing from MYM, how is Alliance going to deal with that? Sure, they have 2 600 range hero, but they were both so squishy. You Nightmare Arrow, and they're just practically dead.
You got a Ring of Protection for Stardom and Pugna.
All right, there we go. That Ring of Protection is going to keep Loda safe.
Do you think that like they want to build Basilius so they can push fast? Is that the idea behind that?
I imagine so. Normally, it comes from a Chen, who is going to have a little bit more access into gold, but obviously Pugna uses that Ring of Basilius just as well. We'll see. I like that.
Did they scout Roche?
Yeah, you got to scout Roche, man. You got to give him the credit. But unfortunately, Puck has to go all the way back to base now. Ooh, Exist, if you look at his item build, he's got Blaze of Attack first, which is actually quite questionable. Doesn't No Talisman just give you +9 damage and then the stats?
Yeah.
So...
But if he's going Blade of Attack, then he has to be going Phase Boots. And also, I just wanted to point out really quick that Mini's got the Heart TV6 thing. And I want to make sure I heard this right because production were talking to me, but it was quite low. But I think they mentioned that they were the ones who actually sent him to TI3.
Oh.
I think that's what he said. And if that's the case, then that's very cool of them. So just showing his support. But
cool.
Phase Boots Puck, man, it's legit.
I mean, I'm sure it is, but I guess, yeah, if you're going to... This allows you to skip the No Talisman, so there's an argument for that. But yeah, it's going to be S4 mid. The first 3 orbs is going to be Quas.
That's a little bit surprising. Just putting yourself in this kind of a position, look at the discrepancy in base damage between these two heroes. Puck is 53 with 1 branch, and S4 on the Invoker, he's 41, and he has 2 more branches than Exist does on his Puck. So that just goes to show how much more difficult it is for the Invoker to really try to do any last hitting of the sort against this particular hero. But at the same time, MYM with the aggressive lane, they should by all means have an advantage here, and I'm getting a bit of lag. I hope the players aren't, because I got some really
audio
weird
lag.
It's pretty good on my side, so it's maybe just you. Yeah, actually, it seems like S4 is just abusing the block a little bit better, using the hill a little bit better. He's Well, putting it the harass on Exist, there is no face just yet. And look at the damage he's dealing out. He was able to get level 2 before Exist get his. And wow, forces out a salve. So despite the damage, the difference, it looks like S4 is manhandling Exist so far.
It's the difference between being able to double wave somebody as mid under the first tower and be able to get that kind of a CS and level advantage early, because it's way more difficult to deal with somebody under the tower because you're constantly going for the last hit because you don't want to miss them. And wow, S4 is actually getting quite low.
He's going to get the first blood, right?
He's going to die. Wow. Okay, very uncharacteristic. Maybe he thought Ake was a little bit closer than he was.
Well, we're going to see a Hadouken cooldown in about a couple seconds. Exist already using the phase, and looks like Chen's going to clean up, but still a huge victory on the mid lane. I did not get the chance to see whether Puck bought his item. He had a bottle as well. Or maybe he just picked it up in the well.
Yeah, top lane looks like MYM's going to be able to secure themselves a Pugna kill, so Loda drops as well. 2-1 in favor of MYM, and not only that, but man, S4 was crazy over-aggressive there. I'm actually quite a bit surprised that he got caught like that.
Well, I think it was, you know, the Chen saying, hey, I'm coming in, just keep him there, keep him low, bait out a couple of spells, but S4 perhaps did a little bit too much and paid as a result. And you can see Chen is just kind of
he wants
waiting.
blood.
This is a very, very kind of aggressive gank because you have to bait out both Phase and Orb. Well, Orb's already baited out, and this is go time here for S4.
He walked very correctly.
Yeah. I mean, he expects it. Exist does, so. I'm happy because I have Exist on my fantasy team. Go Exist.
I have Mini on.
How many points is First Blood?
I don't think First Blood it doesn't have a category, unfortunately.
Okay.
But he got a kill, so it's good.
Kills are points, man. Yep. And the important thing, too, to note is that actually Weaver, as of right now, Ace is doing a pretty good job. He's 15-0. Bulldog's not far behind him by any stretch, but he also didn't get sentries, which I thought was a little bit surprising, especially when you have a Chen on your team. You figure typically if you have a Chen, that's the one hero in the game who can actually not start with any items at all and buy all the support items. And I think that Admiral Bulldog's actually suffering because of this.
Yeah, maybe he's going to have a pair of sentry being sent to him once the bear is sufficiently going to start rooting, which is going to be a level of the top lane. Yeah, they're going to go right here on Mini. Going to get blown up.
That damage. So Decrepify, level 2 Fade Bolt with another blast and a Test of Faith. Granted, the Test of Faith isn't... it's pure damage, but still, that's a very, very high damage output, and it didn't look like it was expected on the side of MYM, because they kind of were a bit hesitant to decide if they wanted to commit to the fight or not, but he actually died crazy fast.
Yeah, I think a lot of people really underestimate what Chen can do early game. Just see, oh, the creeps are running in. But Test of Fate pair damage, if you land the dices on that one, it hurts really, really badly.
The bugs against Lone Druid, actually. You know, when you're split pushing with Radiance on the bear, if you put the bugs on them, they can never go home, and they just constantly eat away at it. I was playing Lone Druid the other day against Weaver, and it was awful.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you want to recall your bear and you're just like, I can't, and then the bear dies, and then...
They last forever as well. I never knew how long they last. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's got the pretty typical build going, though. The 1-3-1 when you're level 5 on a Weaver. I think this is pretty much what everyone does. Well, yeah, but if you buy a bottle in the safe lane, his mid doesn't necessarily need it because he's kind of had full rune control, at least up until this point. He got the DD when the 4, or I think it was maybe the 2-minute rune when he had the DD. Maybe it was the 4. I wasn't actually quite paying attention to which one it was. But either way, an Invoker doesn't go for runes anyway, so he can bottle crow. And
speaking of, you were talking about the lack of Sentry Ward for Admiral Bulldog on the bot lane. He did actually get an Observer Ward, and that Observer Ward is scouting out the gank coming out from Crit. So Chen is making that rotation, and I think they could actually come in and kill Crit. So the Hunter is about to get hunted. I think Chen maybe... Oh, he's going to clear out this camp. I think Furbog, or Hellbear Smasher as he's called, it's probably one of the best early game ganking creep you want. And I think Crit is... Yeah, they see Crit. Where's the clap? Okay, Bear's not falling yet.
Yeah, he's got to get an Entangle, and committing to that fight and hoping for an Entangle is a bit optimistic, I would say, even for Admiral Bulldog.
I mean, Admiral Bulldog first take Entangle all the time, so you just count on it.
Man,
it's laggy, isn't it?
Yeah, mine's lagging really bad, but yours is fine, so I'm just going to let you do team fights because I get some lag.
I'm going to shoot you a quick question here. Is normally we see Puck maxes Illusory Orb. He's actually going to go for Waning Rift. Now, they both do the same damage. Is there any reason why you want to do that specifically against Invoker?
Because if you go and you try to gank Invoker, and he has time to cast anything, even if he's coiled, like say for instance you coil Orban, right, and you're like 4-1-1, which is pretty much the standard, he can actually Tornado and maybe get a Ghost Walk off, you know, and live. But if you have Max Silence, he can. And here's the counter engage on Mini top lane. The Decrepify Netherblast doing a ton of damage, but Unicorn's going to be able to keep EGM and Loda at bay with some auto attacks. So I do think that the Max Silence fits pretty well here.
It's actually more damage for mana as well.
Well, yeah, it's more damage for mana. It's a longer cooldown, so it's not as good in lane to be able to utilize to harass against, but you don't really want to go harass against a Quaswex Invoker anyway, right? Like, you just want to go straight in, all in for the kill. And I think in light of that, it's a good choice.
Yeah. One weakness of taking more points into Rainy Rift is that your shove, as you would call it, is not as good. And, well, it looks like a little bit more engagement up on top. They punted, just got another kill on Mini. He's going to get sent back here, but no, Rubik gets picked off. So, not exactly... well, I guess it's an okay trade, but Loda getting the experience end of that is better. But yeah, back to the Luge Orb on the mid lane. You can't push as well, so the rune control is not going to be as good. But like, you know, Drasko pointed out earlier, it's not like S4 is going to be going for the rune, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, oh, bottom lane, Ace wants to go pretty aggressive here on Admiral Bulldog. He's going to get immediate TP reaction by EGM. It looks like Ace is actually going to be forced back here. Does EGM have any regen for him? Nope. I think he might actually just have to go back to base, which is a bit of a bummer, to be honest. Especially since Ace is just doing whatever he wants. He's going to Shikuchi under the tower. EGM's here, though. He was sitting in fog. He's going to get the lift. Admiral Bulldog going into Bear Form, and he gets a root. Holy root gaming Batman. Ace, though, he's got his time lapse. He's going to be just fine.
I mean, that looked close, but for Ace's perspective, it's like, you know, it was a calculated dive. He had
well, it was close for Bulldog not dying. Yeah. That's basically what the hype was for, because Ace shouldn't have died there under any circumstance.
Yeah.
But just the fact that Admiral Bulldog can just he just sits there confidently going, I'm gonna get this root. Yeah. And he gets it.
Well, he also know that he's gonna dodge one attack with his shapeshift.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, who does that? I guess Admiral Bulldog does.
Hey man, when you've played the hero that many times, you just know.
And only that hero that many times because, you know,
he's got like Bulldog. 4 or 5 heroes now.
Right.
Come on.
Fair enough.
You can't say his profit's not good.
No, his profit is really good.
It's really good as well. And bounty.
His bounty is really good. Yeah.
What else does he have?
That's pretty much it.
Huh.
He's got a Timber.
Oh, I don't think his Timber
I've seen him play
that.
Viper before.
Right. Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing him play Viper.
All right, bot lane here. Looks like Ace is going to go right here on EGM. EGM, well, going to try to survive that. He does have a lift. He's going to toss it right to S4, but a little bit hopeful on that one.
They haven't bought sentries.
I think he just CP'd to ensure that he wouldn't die. That's the only reason I can see S4 doing that, because there's no way you're killing him, even with a cold snap. You would need like EMP Tornado straight away, because low level of time lapse actually costs like a lot of mana, 150. The higher ranks cost actually, I think, 75 and then 0. But the very first one is very difficult. So if he landed Tornado EMP, maybe they could have killed him. But
I'm surprised they tossed it towards S4. Normally, you get him away so I can survive. But, yeah.
I guess there's always a chance that he doesn't have mana or screws up somehow.
Nah, they knew he had mana. He's been bottle crowing pretty much the whole game. Top lane, Nightmare and Arrow on Ake. Looks like pretty much a free kill. Soul Assumption's going to be there. Loda going in. Maybe a bit questionable. Life drain from long distance. Unicorn. Just going to casually ride his kitty away back to the safety of his tower. Oh, it looks like S4 is going to find Mini in the river. Tornado's going to follow up the cold snap. Soul Assumption goes off, but EGM is actually the one who gets the kill on Mini, and now Exist is going to be forced back to his side of the river as well. And going to see an arrow off the mark.
So with the Nightmare Arrow combo, I think Chen could have actually survived that. It was moving his Satyr to block the arrow. I thought that's what he was doing, but it seems like it was a little slow. So unfortunate, but it happens. And now with this 1v1, I think as there's more level being gotten here by both the Ace as well as Admiral Bulldog. Admiral Bulldog should win this eventually, right? Just brute hits non-stop. And
he's doing so well considering he has no sentry wards at all.
Yeah.
Like, he has the highest last hits in the game. It's very impressive. Like.
Being ganked, you know, by the Bane earlier and being dove upon.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised myself. Actually, the Lone Druid does edge out Weaver, but Ace has supplemented his laning by just consistently having mana to Shikuchi, because that's what you need.
Yep.
So in a way, it's like MYM knew how to deal with this, and again, the no sentries thing is definitely a huge deal.
Yeah, and here comes the Bane. Unfortunately, he's only level 5, so he really needs to stay here till he gets that level 6 and hope that there's no root. And
he'll get it on this wave.
If you look at Admiral Bulldog, he's got 1300 HP with 14 armor. I just don't think they're actually going to get that kill.
Oh, they can. If they get the damage
All right,
out,
here we go. Here
can.
comes the grip. But
here comes the rewatch.
The Weaver's,
it's going to happen.
The Weaver's nowhere near even close, but he's going to come in. There's a Nightmare, but a single TP, and that's why this is not going to work. Crit is going to get cold snap off a great TP from S4. Tornado's going to come in. Is it going to get the kill? Yes, it will. And that's going to be it.
Why did Ace back up? I'm so confused.
Yeah, I think Ace was low and he was balling or something like that, but he was really, really far away.
The Visage got the kill on the bear as well. I bet he's chuffed with that. 2 sets of wards, lads.
That was really awkward because if they actually coordinated that better, they could have done way more damage to Bulldog, and I think the Soul Assumption from Mini actually could have just killed him. But Ace just walked back to the tower when the creep wave was dying, so a bit of miscommunication for sure. But now, Alliance here in full force, bottom lane.
Looks like they want to fight as well.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, they got the war down. It's going to be very, very difficult for M1 to defend. Oh, nice try here. Cold snap. Tornado's going to miss here from S4. And that is going to be a retreat. It will surprise me greatly if M1 wants to fight this.
I
don't think they can.
Looks
Looks like middle in the meantime. Exist manages to find himself a solo kill on Ake, and I think he just got that blink actually.
Yes.
Like not too long ago.
Yeah, he just got it.
That's like the one gimme kill that you always get in games where it's like, oh, didn't know I had a blink, I died.
Yeah.
It's okay, lad. He didn't know.
Yeah, for those of you guys that are wondering why was Chen in the mid lane in the first place, well, S4 rotated off, so if you give Puck an easy mid-tower kill like that, it's probably even worse than a Chen kill, so Chen had to place his butt there, protect the mid-tower, and he died as a result. But I think it's more important that they protect that tier 1 tower. And speaking of tier 1 tower, I think Loda's coming up the hill and starting to a little bit of blaster action on that tier 1.
It's so hard to stop Alliance's push too. Like even with the kind of initiation that MYM have with now having a blink Puck, he pretty much has to hit the Chen with a silence every single time. And if they lose a couple more tier 1s, then Ake is going to be very close to mech, and then they could be saying things like this, which is just go for a Roshan when your bear is at 20% HP, because why the hell not?
I mean, you have Chen creeps.
And the buckler.
The auras, the buckler.
But MYM, no. They have a ward. Or actually, does that ward see?
No,
I don't think that.
No,
oh,
it
now
didn't.
They know.
Yeah, now they do
know.
Yeah.
The jig's up, boys. They don't even care.
The thing is, you can't stop it.
Yeah, they can't really do that much. But looks like Alliance are still scared enough to maybe not just do this at all.
I think they're giving respect to Puck. I mean, especially knowing the fact that he has Blink Dagger. Yeah. You don't want to get a 4-man coil, and who knows what's behind there. A good Swarm could really make you rethink your choices. And it's good that MYM was able to stop that Roshan without rotating Unicorn and Bane, who is setting up a surprise gank on the top lane, but it seems like nobody's falling for that trick just yet.
I do like the fact that MYM has decided to just put people in all lanes instead of trying to contest the Roshan, because if this fight goes badly for MYM and Alliance get the Aegis, suddenly the momentum is just so far out of their favor that there wouldn't be much they can do. But at the very least, they're getting farm, they're pressuring lanes, they're sticking to what I would call a standard style of play instead of putting themselves in a position where it could potentially just go horribly.
Oh, it's Puck going for the steal right now. Orb is going to see it. It's very, very low. It's coming in. Oh, wow. That's way too aggressive. Invoker picks up the Aegis.
What a man.
And exists. That is not going to earn me any fantasy point, but good try, good try.
I feel like that should actually take away points when you do stuff like that.
That should give him 20 points.
There should just be a special category. Roshan steals, failed attempt is like minus 10 points.
I think that's why Bambo got negative at TI2.
That's probably why.
Yeah, but they are going to get a little bit of tier 1 out of that, so maybe tier 1 damage at least on the top lane.
Do you think Roshan is worth 2 tier 1 towers?
Do I, at this point in the game? I don't think it is actually for Alliance, because their whole thing is making sure that they keep the most amount of map control whilst being able to take away tier 1s.
That's getting tier 1, so if you look at the mid lane, Loda drops low, but he's okay. He's got the magic stick as well. Nice deny here coming out from Crit.
Wiley was entangled by the bear.
He even got entangled when that happened.
Oh.
And the double. Secure.
EGM Loda.
EGM, he had Starfall, right into an arrow. That's still worth it, though.
That's a worth. Hashtag worth right there.
He just killed 2 supports and got all the experience for it. Now he's halfway to level 11, so he had max rank of Starstorm, and he had Fable. He just walked in, used them both, and just got 2 kills, so power to him.
Yeah, I think Exist has to really pick it up. Not to say he's been playing poorly, regardless of how that Aegis steal went. I think the team is really relying on him a lot to put that mid-game away, because we know once this game goes past 35 minutes, there's no way there's enough damage for MYM to actually take out Lone Druid Bear. With that said, though, there is the Weaver who is, farming decently.
Get a medallion on the Visage as well. It could be
yeah, it's definitely doable. Marana with drums and phase, so there is some decent source of damage. And Hammer Bulldog goes straight for Maelstrom instead of something like a Midas. What's your thought on that?
I think that Maelstrom is always a good choice when you know that you're going to consistently be pushing and fighting, because Radiance is one of those things where once you get it, sure, it's pretty nice, but I don't think the Radiance burn is something that MYM is going to be too concerned about. In drawn-out fights, they have 3 heroes that are extremely mobile, so I don't think that Radiance burn is as good against compositions that can just straight up run away from you in those circumstances. So only Visage and Bane would really be subject to that kind of a problem. And if he wants to, he can just go for stacking orbs and just get attack speed, maybe go AC or Deso or something like that a little bit later. And then on top of Alacrity, once S4 starts getting his levels, I think it actually scales better than just having a Radiance.
Yeah, the cool thing about Radiance is that if you force MYM to take those fights, they are going to take a lot of damage because how squishy they are, but they just don't really have good ways to force them to take fight. I guess if you hit a very, very good ice wall, then that's the case, but yeah. You can't really rely on that.
Do you think the Maelstrom's for farming on Lone Druid, yeah? Do you think that's what it's like?
I mean, I think Radiance
for wave
farms,
pushing and farming.
I think Radiance can give you more farm, though.
Well, Radiance definitely gives you more farm, but we also have to consider that a Radiance is, what, another 25, 2,400 gold, something like that?
It's a big chunk item, like, you don't get the little part.
And you still kind of get the same effect from a Maelstrom in terms of if you get a Maelstrom proc every 20%, it still pushes the wave pretty darn fast. And S4 going for a Tornado, EMP on top of Unicorn. The Cold Snap was there, but he was able to leap away before the EMP really dealt any damage. But kill on middle. EGM just soloed Exist.
That's my boy.
I don't even understand
how.
That's, you know what? I'm going to say that's the plight of the Phase Boots puck, because you just don't have any health when you have Phase Boots. So when you do get caught, you go splat.
I think what happened there was he stole Raining Rift. It was like telekinesis lift into his own Raining Rift, and then it was just a couple more Fable right clicks. That gotta be it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
It's one thing that if you're not used to playing against a Rubik's puck, you're just going to have to learn.
Crit walking straight into S4's Cold Snap, and he's going to try to Nightmare himself, but he's dead to the Chen creeps here. The heal's going to keep everybody alive. S4 fighting under a tower, and the Soul Assumption kills himself off the Pugna wards. Meanwhile, Ace on the backline trying to do a lot of right-click here against Ake. Tornado's going to pick him up. The Coil's going to hit on 2, and Chen is still alive, not for long. Ace drops, and we're going to have Chase coming out here from the Birds, but the Centaur creeps, or sorry, the Chen creeps still on the front line. When the dust settles, it's a 4-for-2 trade in favor of Alliance.
They were actually fairly lucky that Exist respawned when he did, because if he didn't, it would have gone even worse, and I don't think they would have even been able to kill Ake or Loda at that point, because his supplemental damage from Orb was what allowed them to kill Loda in the first place. And S4 just through his Aegis, he's like, yeah, I can't really do much, so.
Okay, so it's more for 4-for-3, but yeah.
So he hasn't learned Exhort at all, Invoker.
Yeah, he skipped it entirely.
Yeah, same thing like Dendi yesterday. We were kind of questioning about that.
Well, I think a lot of it is when you only have 2 points into Invoke.
Yeah, you don't have the Evokes.
Yeah, you don't have the cooldowns to really use those spells in those situations. And Exist seems like he might be in a little bit of trouble, but he managed to blink that Tornado very nicely, but still have vision. There's the Waning Rift. They're just standing there, man.
I know you're here. Knock, knock.
He's orbing out. He's got a TP, so he's fine. Yeah. I actually think the 1 point into Exhort is fully worth it this game, simply for Alacrity. Yeah. You put it on the Bear, it's crazy damage output. But obviously, maybe the more crowd control spells like EMP Tornado are a little bit more important.
But when you're in a position to push, like with the Bear, you have him up on the front line.
Then
okay, you can Alacrity him, but then you have a cooldown on Invoke. Like you have 1 spell less.
Sure. I don't know. I think it's still worth, but that's just me.
Circumstantial.
Yeah.
We'll say that. But this is the stage where Alliance's lineup has pretty much reached, I wouldn't say its best capability, but it's definitely at the stage where they know that they can just run into towers as 5.
Yep.
And here goes another Tornado EMP. It's going to hit on 2. Mini and crit. Unfortunately for Mini, he's going to be the one who takes the bad part of that. Crit's going to sit back here, maybe go for a deny. Actually decides not to, and I can't say that I blame him, given how fast that tower died. This is Alliance to a T. Like, it really is. As soon as they realize they have any advantage, they just go completely ham.
I mean, this is what we talked about earlier when they were saying they have a greedy draft, and now they're threatening to get a Rax 19, 20 minutes in the game. MYM's going to have 1 good fight left in them because they still have the Dream Coil available. If there's a bad clump from Alliance, it could happen, but there's a lot of healing from Alliance as well. Chen as well as that Meg available. Here we go, Mini dropping a couple of stuns. That ward on the front line, this is something that we haven't talked about too much. With everybody so squishy, Blink initiation coming out from EGM, leap out being forced from Unicorn. And Admiral Bulldog Bear going to work.
Oh, what a coil after the fact blinks back into his team. Ace actually pops the BKB, forced the time lapse. Soul Assumption on EGM doing quite a bit of damage, and Tangle on the crit. Goodbye, Mr. Bane. You are not going to be able to live through that one. He does get the Nightmare off on the Bear. Exist going to be forced to phase shift and blink back once again. I think that's just racks. Like, what do they really do? They don't do enough damage, which is weird because on top of having like pure damage from Brain Sap, Visage Birds, Soul Assumption, Starstorm, Arrows, and a Puck, their burst is actually pretty substantial, but they just can't seem to get everything together to take somebody out. They got Loda.
You kind of need physical damage as well to kill the bear, don't you?
Well, unfortunately, one side has a mech, and the other side only has a buckler. Meanwhile, Ace is going to work, but he gets picked up by EMP Tornado. He does not have Magic Wand, so he's out of mana. There's no more chasing. Yeah, I actually think, sure, there's a lot of burst damage, and as you see Unicorn trying to do some
what a
sneaky
telekinesis.
tactics, yeah, he gets picked off as well. Alliance just outlasts them with the mech and just the raw tankiness of things like Life Drain and the Bear and all that stuff. And there's nothing like it on MYM. Also, I think that Pugna War is doing a significant amount of damage on these squishies. Soul Assumption costs so much mana that Visage just kills himself under that. And of course, we talked about Puck having only, 1,000 HP now thanks to the Ultimate Orb. He kills himself after casting 3 spells. So they're just, they can't out-tank Alliance.
I definitely agree. I think there's another point that's important to kind of hit on here is Alliance had a draft that was greedy in the right way. And what I mean by that is they're kind of gold greedy. Only one of their, or two of their heroes really need levels that much, and that's Loda and S4. We're going to see another kill on many here, but I'm pretty much just assuming the GG is going to be called soon. Ace pops his BKB, Exist goes in with a Waning Rift, going to get immediately lifted, and Ace is forced to time-lapse back inside of his base. Coil's going to land on 3, but it's more or less a retreat coil. EGM actually stole it. Admiral Bulldog in the meantime manages to secure crit. Unicorn going in to drop off the Starstorm, gets entangled, forced to leap, and crit calls the GG. So, like I was saying, it was looking okay, honestly, for a while, but then you came to this realization that even if Lone Druid is considered a relatively greedy hero because he needs a couple items, he can still help the team kill towers. Ace was forced into going BKB first as a Weaver.
Yep.
That pretty much guarantees that for the next 10 to 15 minutes, you're not going to have any damage whatsoever or impact on the game unless you're given time. So I think that the Weaver, like I even mentioned during the draft, I was like, you can pick it in a 1v1, but it loses against Lone Druid. And he technically did, I guess, as good as you could have hoped him to because he was battle crowing the whole time, you know, doing the right stuff, spamming Shikuchi. But the hero just has limitations. Like, he couldn't have a game impact, not because he played poorly, but because he was on that hero.
Yeah. I also think that, for example, Unicorn needed to do a little bit more on the top lane. Like, if you had a Mirana maybe with a finished Mantis out during the push, then maybe things will look a little bit more differently. But yeah, MYM, not enough damage. Perhaps a mech was needed on the Visage as well.
Well, you say Lone Druid's greedy. They sent him off lane on his own with like no support nearly at all. And
he had one Observer Ward now.
Okay.
That's good support. Come on.
One Observer Ward.
Okay.
And he pretty much did amazingly. He got the highest farm in the game.
Yeah. I mean, I think he drew 2 TPs from S4 because he was giving though, but...
No, the EGM was one of them, I think.
Yeah, EGM came as well. S4 came twice. So that's okay support. But yeah, no, he did everything. And it goes back to the argument that we had. Was it Maelstrom? Was it Radiance? I don't think it matters either way.
No, I don't think it would have. But I think the Maelstrom kind of let them end the game a little bit sooner. But I think we pretty much hit on everything we need to. And of course, we're going to have more post-game analysis after the break. But we are going to be coming back, guys, after a short intermission for the post-game analysis of this game. And of course, the last game of the day, which is going to be Alliance taking on Team Dog. So stay tuned.